Hey, good morning, Dan. It is Saturday. Let's see, what's the date? The 11th of April. It's my birthday month, so you can wish me a happy birthday every video you make if you want. I am finally getting around to making a video, partly in response to the video that you posted yesterday, day before. Anyway, and that video had four parts to it, so I'm going to respond to those four things plus maybe a couple of other things. But I feel like I have so much to tell you that I'm going to have to make multiple videos. So the first, in response to the video that you made of a couple of days ago, um, you, like I said, there were four parts to it. There was the um, blah, 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 the Eisenstein, his first name is Charles, by the way, essay. The second one was the sci-fi movie, um, and the guy who directed it. And the third one was the state of the Minnesota. That was the text from his speech, Governor Walz's speech. Um, and First thing, I think I did a disservice. It was actually a bit lazy on my part, in that I just simply sent those to you. I didn't tell you why I sent them to you. Honestly, I didn't really even expect you to watch the movie. I'm surprised you, but I'll get to that. But let's start with and then there's the fourth thing from your video, which is the kind of the background. All I mean, what the video actually was of, and that was of you and Scott sitting in the Columbia. So I take that as a fourth subject. So in order, let's start with the Eisenstein essay. So as I said, I think I did a disservice in that I did not actually tell you why I sent it to you. I just simply sent it to you. And the thing was friggin' long. I'm actually surprised you read it. So clearly there was something about it that interested you if you got Sarah to read it and Scott to read it rather than simply dismissing it. And I think I sent it because it got me thinking about a lot of things. And even though I don't tend to read much nonfiction, I certainly don't listen to podcasts. It had kind of a podcasty feel to it, even though, like I said, it was extremely long. Talking to several of my friends, not several, some of my friends here in Winona, Dwayne vaguely in particular, he's actually read a book by him. It was part of his book club, along with a book by the woman that he being Eisenstein, quotes in his essay, whose name I can't remember. I was actually sent that essay by a friend of mine out in California, and I just assumed it was going to be, you know, mystical, new agey kind of stuff, because that's who that friend of mine is out there. And I don't mean that to sound so judgmental. I mean, I really actually don't mean it to sound judgmental. It even if it's not my thing, it doesn't have to be not everyone's thing. You know what I mean? So anyway, on your comments first, I took down some notes. So you were talking about how, you disagreed with the solutions he was presenting, and I'm trying to think about what solutions he actually presented, because everything, you would expect from a philosopher. I don't know if you actually looked at that guy's bio, but he's a philosopher out of, I don't know, Yale or Harvard or something. Anyway, and I didn't feel like he was actually presenting any solutions. He was just talking about his observations of this, obviously in a philosophical manner. I mean, I felt like it was like Khalil Gibran, like reading The Prophet, looking for solutions to issues. But then you talked about the willingness. You agreed with him about his concern about people's willingness to give into totalitarian solutions. And I don't know if I've shared this. I've come up with an idea that that we are in a crowdsourced totalitarianism right now. And it's amazing how quick, as you said later in your video, how quick people are to um, judge you and shout you down because you are just simply spreading the disease and killing people. I think that's really a simplistic um, conclusion on their part. Um, but this willingness to submit to totalitarianism, that part actually doesn't surprise me. Um, People, I think, are ultimately rule followers. I certainly saw it in law enforcement. The vast majority of people that we dealt with didn't have to follow these rules, but they did because they were ultimately rule followers, or they were at best low-level rule breakers. How about that? Everybody breaks some rules, right? Whether it's speeding, whether it's, you know, taking milk home without declaring it as an income, from your small business, things like that. We all do that, but very few of us are actually breaking the big rules. So I think we're all willing to submit to these, to submit to a type of totalitarianism. Otherwise, what's the option? I mean, you have chaos. Everybody gets to do their own thing, and I think that in this country we really are hung up with independence, with everybody having the right to doing exactly what they want to do, when they want to do it, and how they want to do it. As if somehow that physical manifestation of those rights are far more important than the spiritual manifestation of those rights. Do you know what I mean? Meaning, you can imprison me, but you can't imprison my soul. I guess that's a pithy way of saying it, maybe glib even. Anyway, and then one of your comments, you were talking about that we need to defer to experts. And I'm assuming you mean, especially where this virus is concerned, scientific experts. That's a really tough one because life is more than science. And any solution has to be weighed against the the emotional and spiritual impacts as well. And those are not just simply data driven. So I don't think all data driven solutions are the solution for any problem. I don't know if did you see the movie Contact with Jodie Foster, where she works for SETI, monitoring the essentially all of those dishes out in Arizona or wherever it is, where they're listening for any sort of intelligence coming from signals from outer space. And they find one, and there's a code that tells them how to build this machine. They don't quite know what the machine's for. Did you see that movie? And Matthew McConaughey's in it, and he is actually, as part of this committee, is there as a religious philosopher with input, and the scientists and he tend to butt heads about why they're doing what they're doing. That's kind of what I feel like needs to be done, actually. And so again, do the solutions have to be science based? Only science based? I don't think they do. But they have. Yeah, I don't know. I think more about that. So I've got a bunch of comments I've got written up here on my computer, so I'm going to quick read through those. I really did like his point about our life habits being that we're getting to reassess those things that we were just doing automatically. And I liken it to, this is like the Baha'i fast, the 19-day fast, when you spend 19 days. And really what it does is it causes you to think differently about your food intake and how you eat and what you eat and how often you eat and how easily you just put things in your mouth. And I feel like this is doing that in the same way, but across many different spectrums of life, not just eating. Um, and his point about the entire world doing the same thing and how nobody would have ever thought that was possible. How could we get the entire world to agree that we're not going to have any international flights, or, we're all going to lock ourselves down, or whatever it is? So it's amazing that, and can we only do that as a result of fear? Is there a way to do it as a result of love? As a result of, this is what the greater peace is all about, right? I'm assuming with the Baha'i faith. Your dad, this kind of reminds me of your dad feeling, last time I talked to him, saying, oh man, that greater peace is imminent, dude. It's going to happen. It's going to be like right around the corner. And I'm thinking, no way. What is the possible mechanism that would bring something like that about? Well, maybe this is the mechanism. And even something like the greater peace or the return of Jesus or whatever those things are that have been prophesied. Um, they they always look different, right, than we expect, and the people who expect them to look a particular way never accept that they've happened, right? So, take Baha'u'llah being, the second coming of Jesus. Nobody expects it to look like that. Not I shouldn't say nobody. Few Christians do, and therefore they're unwilling to accept it. Anyway, blah 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 blah. So we have these issues, these global issues, which actually result in far more deaths, and yet we're not willing to take any sort of global action on them in the same way that we're taking global action now to prevent these deaths. Yeah. Let's see. I actually thought for sure, and actually the reason I sent this essay to you, Dan, and again, I didn't give you any context for it. The reason I sent this essay to you, because like on the second page or it's like in the first 15% of the essay, he has this long paragraph. He talks about the Diamond cruise ship, the Diamond Princess cruise ship. And I thought for sure you were going to hone in on that and talk about that, because he talks about that being a perfect test trial for deciding what the transmission rate would be, what the mortality rate would be, all those things. And I thought for sure you were gonna resonate with that, but you didn't even talk about it. Damn you. So it's interesting. He talks about, there's the quote, those who administer civilization will therefore welcome any opportunity to strengthen their control, for after all, it's in the service of a grand vision of human destiny, the perfectly ordered world in which disease, crime, poverty, and suffering itself can be engineered out of existence. So I really liked that, because I think that does drive true believers to do what they do, right? Every Christian missionary who truly believes what they're doing will go and try to convert these people. We're all looking at them thinking, what the hell are you doing? You're just making their lives worse by going down and, trying to convert them into some sort of Western Christianity. And they truly believe it. I honestly, I am less cynical about what Mitch McConnell does than some people. I don't agree with it, but I think that he thinks he can engineer this perfect world by getting all these judges seated, by doing all these things in order to exert control to create a world that's actually better for everybody. I really liked his quote, and I think you talked about this too. I don't really know what's happening. I don't see how anyone can amidst the seething farrago of news, fake news, rumors, suppressed information, conspiracy theories, propaganda, and politicized narratives that fill the internet. Oh my gosh, isn't that the truth? Um, and it does make me wonder. So we don't know what's going on. I mean, in the totality, and is there anybody in control who knows more than we do? Presumably, does Anthony Fauci know more? Hopefully, he knows more science, right? Is Trump in possession of more facts? Well, probably not. But are Congress people in control? Do they possess more facts than we do? I don't know. I don't know. I really do when he starts talking about his mantra of safety first. That it comes from a value system that makes survival top priority, and that depreciates other values like fun, adventure, play, and the challenging of our limits. We do have people out there who challenge limits, and we love watching their videos, but we would, for the most part, as a society, of course we want our children to be safe, but we see it in the level of safety, and not only the level of safety, we're talking like bicycle helmets, we're talking all of those little things which statistically, riding a bicycle around my neighborhood at a slow speed for a child doesn't make a difference if they wear a helmet as to whether they're going to suffer a severe injury or not when they fall off. It could, sure. But all we're teaching them is that, you've got to protect yourself from all danger. And again, so this is where I think he really gets off onto the certainly non-solution, non-medical, or non-scientific, into the more philosophical nature of what is going to be our approach to life relative to risk. And is a safe life the best life? And I think that's a really, really important question to ask. Is the only way to live is to live into your 90s? Is that the best life? Is that so? And he finishes with that by saying, to hold life sacred is not just to live long, it's to live well and right and fully. And that has nothing to do with obviously with length of life. And I feel like we are focusing 90% of our energies on living long. I think that drives a lot of our decisions, a lot of our science, a lot of our yeah. So anyway, and then the last thing I wanted to say is there's something that reminds me of something that Scott Fairley said. So the quote from the essay is, take, for example, the issue of hoarding, which embodies the idea, there won't be enough for everyone, so I'm going to make sure there's enough for me. Another response might be, some don't have enough, so I will share what I have with them. Are we to be survivalists or helpers? What is life for? So that, I know you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, because Scott said that about, am I going to be that guy that shares, or am I going to be that guy who shoots my neighbor because he wants some of what I've got when things really go south? And Scott had decided that he was going to be on the side of sharing. He wasn't going to shoot his neighbor. So anyway, I think there's a lot of really good things in that essay. I don't think that essay is about solutions to this problem. What that essay is about is, this has given us an opportunity to think about how we want to live our lives, and to make decisions, or to just think more about it. Think more about how we're going to live our lives. So anyway, I'm approaching the 20-minute mark. I'm going to stop this video. I hope you're well and you enjoyed the ceiling fan behind my head. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.